Politics for me used to be about policy. I used to look at politicians and think, what were they saying? What promises would they make? Were they liars? Did they seem intelligent? Then the second thing I would used to look at was their background, what kind of reputation they had. But really, for me personally, reputation didn't really mean as much as um, what your policies were. I did care about reputation as far as were you somebody who got the job done. But I never really looked too much at politics from a point of view of human behavior to the extent of like I would in an interpersonal relationship. See, like when you have a husband or a wife or a sibling or any kind of relationship, you know, things get tested from time to time. And as life goes on, you begin to realize there's a certain type of person that's hard to get along with, and that's somebody who is, well, first of all, they lie habitually as part of the way of doing their life. They don't take any responsibility for anything whatsoever. They try to pass the blame on to everybody else. And any trouble or chaos that they cause, if caught red-handed, they basically just deny it. And most of the way that bad people like that deal with problems is that when they know they're about to get caught or heading into a situation where they know they're going to be exposed, they suddenly start treating everyone else around them, or in particular the person that they're dealing with directly, they start treating them as if though they're doing exactly what they've just been done. A good example is when you get a spouse caught cheating. Even if you catch them with the other person, they will somehow figure out a way to spin it and say that you're the one cheating. And that old saying, the accuser is the guilty. You know what I mean? And it's that whole psychology that those bad people count on to be able to gaslight you so bad. So recent years, what this has to do with politics is that in recent years, I personally have begun to look at politicians and politics in a much different way. I look at them very much from the point of view of how I look at interpersonal relationships. But I don't view them in individual politicians. I view their behavior as a group. And then as soon as I did that, the narcissistic, gaslighting underbelly of the entire Democratic Party exposed itself to me like a flower. Suddenly you come out in the morning, on your way to work, and you see there's flowers blooming all in the yard. Like, wow. Yeah, except not flowers, more like cows that came in your yard and dropped cow pies. Like that. My point is that I've come to realize that politicians, because there's some on the Republican side as well, because we're all human beings, that in the political arenas, certain groups of people behave like group narcissism, man. The Democratic Party is a really good example. Through the whole history of this entire country, they basically have inverted every truth. They've redefined everything. And anytime there was a moral crossroads in this country, like with the slavery, civil rights, women's right to vote, anything like that in our country's history, the Democrats have rewritten history. They literally rewrite the history books and always put themselves on the historically perceived right side of the truth, not to be confused with right and left politically. And that's exactly what narcissists do. They do the exact same thing. It's like a mirror image. So when I suddenly seen the Democratic Party for the selfish, self-centered, lying people that they are, politics all of a sudden became very easy to understand for me. Horrifically understanding. And the truth of the matter is that these people can't be supported anymore. It's the same way in your personal life. If you got someone in your personal life who just fabricates narratives all the time and manipulates the truth continuously to the point where you're actually scratching your own head and going, what What? And you're getting confused. See, that's what they do, the Democrats. They tell so many lies and they change the narrative so often. And we all know this. I'm probably preaching to the choir by now, 5 minutes into this, but I encourage you to see politics for what it really is. You have a group of people, and you know what's another terrible thing about narcissists? It's such an overused word the last 10 years on the internet, it's a shame. But you know what's the worst thing about these Democrats? That type of personality disorder, that mental sickness, they believe that they're morally omnipotent, that their moral high ground is, that's it. That's where the decisions are made. And people who think like that, they're incapable of having dialogue, because in their mind, dialogue's a waste of time and energy and breath. Just do what you're told. If you don't do what you're told, we're going to take your shit, and we're going to tax you 90% anyway, so just shut up. And that's exactly what they believe, because in their mind, they can do and say anything they want. They cheat, they lie. That's why they steal elections. They don't see it as cheating. They see it as a means to an end, because, man, we have to get rid of these vermin known as individuals so we can have our collectivism. All right. Well, that was our little 6-minute journey left of the gaslight. And what an ugly place to go. Stop supporting Democrats. It's so important that you stop supporting Democrats. We can live through a few years of just Republicans and start a third party. But the Democrats, they're done. They're just not good people. Alright. If you made it this far in the video, for any reason, I can't imagine anybody would. I got a brand new channel. But if you did, give me a subscribe and like, and give me a comment below. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.